Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In supporting the motion, I want to put some few facts forward. Mr. Speaker, eucalyptus tree was imported into this country. So it's good to appreciate that it is foreign, or rather an exotic species or plant into our ecosystems or into Kenya as a country. And the adverse effects of importing plants without regard to environmental impact assessments, without regard to the impact they cause generally to the environment, is a matter of grave concern for this nation. Mr. Speaker, eucalyptus, in wherever it was supposed to be in its natural habitat, was supposed to be a useful plant or tree. But where it is in Kenya, its adverse effects outweigh its benefits environmentally. Mr. Speaker, what does eucalyptus tree do to our environment? One thing, it has what they call an allelopathy effect on the environment. What does that really mean? Releasing chemicals into our ecosystem, into our soil, that inhibits the growth of all other trees. So what it does, it will do well by itself, but it destroys the vigor, the biodiversity, the vitality of our environment in totality, degrading the environment in a very big way. So you can imagine having a tree that eliminates all other trees. And what is the consequent impact of eliminating other fauna or flora? The impact is it destroys many other livelihoods if it will destroy any other vegetation. For instance, if eucalyptus will be eliminating all other vegetation, beekeepers will be affected. They can't have the flowers to generate the honey we need as a form of livelihood. Pasture propagation or growth of pasture will equally be affected. So it will be a homogeneous stand of plant that does away with all other plants that we so need for our livelihood and sustenance. You know, it has a very dangerous taproots, uncomparable to other plants, that taps into our soils, even into the most barren of the arsal soils. If you take it to Chalbi, it can get water so deep, yet water from arid areas, barren soils. That is the consequences and the extent of the impact eucalyptus trees can cause. Mr. Speaker, this tree dehydrates our soil. And dehydration of soils is clear to everybody. When you cease to have water in our soils, you cease to have life in its entirety in our soils and our ecosystems. This is a tree that takes copious amounts of water from our soils, from arsals, and even those that have good water sources. Eucalyptus can equally drain our soils and make sure that there are no more water in our soils. So it has that dangerous network of taproots that can go deep and dehydrate our soils. And when you dehydrate the soils, the impact are that you have also impact the chemical imbalance in our soil. So that is how dangerous eucalyptus tree is to our environment, Mr. Speaker. One other thing which I have said, it has an impact on the production of biomass. Eucalyptus tree ensures that it eliminates any other form of vegetation. And when you eliminate biomass, you are doing away with humus. You are doing away with so many aspects of our soil. Soil without biomass ceases to be soil, but other things. So this is a very dangerous tree. Probably the intention of those who brought it to this country was for short gaze. But the gaze or the benefits to Kenyans is short-lived. Its impact outweighs the benefits of eucalyptus. And the best thing about eucalyptus is to do away with it, to remove it from the Kenyan soils. Yes, it has values. But what are the impacts? If it impacts the soils, remember the soil is the anchor of all livelihoods. And when something affects the soils, it is chemical balance, it is dehydration, the power to make sure that all other vegetations are eliminated. That is a dangerous species. That is a dangerous tree to have in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. That aside, eucalyptus has also health effects. Many say it has some medicinal benefits. But if it is inhaled in a diluted form, Mr. Speaker, nasally, through the nose or by the throat, it has serious irritation and respiratory effects on human health. Dangerous consequences. Many may tread that eucalyptus oil is good, but for sure, if you just inhale in a limited amount, it has dangerous consequences on human health in terms of nasal impact, the impact on the throat, and consequently, our respiratory system. That which stops you to breathe is a killer tree, Mr. Speaker. It has also effects that cause coma, dizziness, seizure. It's a dangerous plant. It has serious allergic consequences on the human anatomy. So without much ado, and being an environmentalist myself, the cost-benefit analysis of having eucalyptus is such that its impacts outweigh its benefits. It is a tree that takes us towards desertification. It is a tree that will dry up our swamps, our aquatic ecosystems. So, for those who have brought it, just like the other tree that is a menace in Garissa and Baringo counties, it was not well thought. It was rushed. It was brought into this country without serious regard on the impact it has on our environment. Mr. Speaker, all I could say, it is better to have this tree out of our soils. Actually eliminate it. I know the gains are short-lived. Growing it over a short period of 2 years and harvesting it for Kenya Power and Lightning to have them as power, that is so minimal. But you can't enumerate the consequences it has on our environment. That which destroys the soil is never a useful thing. This is the destroyer of soils, a dehydrator of soils, one that fights biodiversity. And remember, biodiversity is internationally protected. There is an international instrument. This is a tree that is an enemy to biodiversity. So without much ado, this motion has come at the right time, and I entirely support that eucalyptus should be fought like any other enemy to our economy and our livelihoods. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The one thing the chair would not shy away from admitting is that every time Saney stands on a matter of environmental, you take us through a very powerful learning process. No wonder you came first class in your environmental class at the university. Thank you very much. I hope the country will use your expertise in this area in many ways.